To see the traps, you must be a fox. To frighten the wolves, you must be a lion. 95% of people never escape the circle of being broke in their lifetime. Not because they do not work, not because they are not smart. The real reason is that they do not know the rules of the game, even though they are forced to play that game every single day. You wake up early. You go to work. You try as hard as you can. You try to save a little money on the side. You try to do everything you were made to believe was right. But when the end of the month comes, the money in your pocket is gone again, and you are still at the same level where you started. So why? Because simply working hard was never the key to building wealth. If it were, the people who exhaust their bodies every single day going to work would be among the richest people in the world. But they are not. The truth is much harsher than it looks. The reason money does not stay in your pocket is that you do not know the rules of the games you are playing. The wealthy have been using these rules for a very long time. More than 500 years ago, a thinker named Machiavelli wrote down ruthless truths about power, control, and human nature. People called his ideas dark, even cruel. But those who hold wealth have never stopped using them. They simply never announced it to everyone. Here, I am going to talk about 9 money rules distilled from his perspective. 9 rules that quietly determine who will rise and who will keep standing still. Some of these rules will destroy many of the things you have believed about money until now. I saved the 9th rule for last because it will change the entire game. So stay here until the end, because once you see these rules clearly, you will no longer be able to ignore them. You will stop being a pawn in someone else's game and start playing your own. So let's begin with the first truth people do not want to face: the real reason you are still broke. The first rule is the hardest one to accept, because this rule shows you that most of what you were taught about money is incomplete. Let's be clear, money is not about luck. It is not about how much you wear out your body either. Money is a game, and it has its own rules. And right now, you are playing by rules you have never accepted, and maybe never even knew existed. Think about it. Since childhood, you have been told the same story over and over again. Study hard, get good grades, get a good job. Everything will somehow work itself out in the future. But look around you. Is that really how the world works? What they told you was not a plan. It was a program. And you did not write that program for your own life. The people who wrote it already had money, power, and control. That's why the rules were programmed according to their wants and interests, not yours. Look at the money you earn. Someone else decides how much you make per hour. Whether it is $10 or $100, no matter how hard you try, the final number always remains in their hands. Then they direct you to save money in the bank, and they tell you it is safe. But there's one truth no one talks about. When inflation moves around 3% a year, the money sitting in your account can lose roughly half of its purchasing power over 20 years. You did not spend that money. You did not have it stolen, but it quietly leaked out of your pocket. Meanwhile, the bank made more money by lending your money to others. When you want to feel successful, they give you an image for that moment. A new phone, a more luxurious car, a better-looking life. And when you cannot afford it, there is a credit card ready for you. Let's say you are trying to pay off a $1,000 debt at around 20% interest. That debt does not just sit there. As months and days pass, it keeps growing against you. After a while, you find yourself working just to pay for things you have already forgotten. Do you see it now? On one side, a limited income. On the other side, inflation, interest, and debt. They start pulling you slowly from both directions. The system was not designed for you to win. It was designed for you to remain the player who keeps losing. But here is the good news. And now we have reached the part that changes everything. The game can be learned. When you can clearly see the board, you stop reacting with fear. You start taking conscious steps. When you learn to think like the wealthy, you can begin to play like them. And that leads us to the second rule. If hard work alone is not enough, then what separates the wealthy from everyone else? This is where the second rule comes in, and your perspective begins to change. You must learn to think like Machiavelli. Machiavelli wrote The Prince 500 years ago. Even today, many people think of this book as dark, even ruthless, because the book talks about how those who hold power actually use control, perception, and strategy. But when you read it carefully, you notice something else. This book is not about evil. It is about reality. Machiavelli did not describe the world the way we wished it were. He did not present it as a fair, honest, and kind place. He showed the world as it is. And the first thing you must accept is this: the world is not fair. When you work hard, you are not always rewarded. People do not always tell you the truth. Most people act in their own interest. They try to protect their money, their position, and their power. This is not pessimism. This is clarity. And once you understand it, you begin to play the game with your eyes open. So what does it mean to think like Machiavelli when it comes to money? This process begins with 3 mental shifts. First, stop seeing money as just a number on a screen or paper in your hand. See money as a tool. Money is both a weapon and a shield. Money gives you the power to create freedom, options, and opportunity. When you do not have money in your pocket, you become dependent on others. And the cost of dependency is your freedom. Second, learn to see people clearly. In the world of money, everyone is a player. Some play to win, some play only to survive, and some play only to control you. That is why you must not look at people's words, but at their actions. Their actions reveal their real strategy. Their words are often just a mask. Third, learn to see opportunity where other people only see fear. When the crowd panics, the strategic mind moves closer and studies the situation. Think about the 2008 crisis. While most people were selling their stocks and properties out of fear, a small group quietly collected stocks and real estate at very low prices. Within a few years, those assets made them wealthy. Same event, 2 different games. Let me explain the important part clearly. Thinking like Machiavelli does not mean lying to people, cheating, or hurting them. It does not mean becoming cold and heartless either. It simply means being strategic instead of naive. You understand the world as it really is, so you can determine your place inside it. The moment you apply this shift to yourself, you stop being crushed by the system. You evolve into a player who creates strategy within it. And the first place where you begin to take control back is the money that has already been slipping through your hands. That brings us to the 3rd rule. In the 3rd rule, thought now turns into action, because thinking like Machiavelli has no value if you cannot control what is right in front of you, and the thing closest to you is your own money. Machiavelli wrote that a ruler must keep his own territory under control, otherwise enemies will quickly take it over. Your money is your territory. If you do not control it, someone else will. This is exactly the problem most people experience. Their money is managed by landlords, banks, subscriptions, and companies that quietly take small amounts from their accounts every month without them noticing. Think about the moment your salary enters your pocket. For a few hours, you feel powerful. Then the money starts leaving your pocket. Rent, bills, food, a streaming subscription you forgot about, installments, small expenses. A few days later, the money in your hand disappears, and you start counting the days until the next paycheck. And the worst part is this: most people have no idea where their money is flowing. They do not track it. They only live by reacting. When an unexpected expense appears, they spend and hope the next paycheck will save them. But hope is not strategy. The wealthy play a completely different game. They determine the direction of money flow. They know how much money comes in and where it goes. For them, money is not just paper entering your pocket. It is like a soldier in their army. If you send your soldiers into meaningless battles, meaning expensive toys, unnecessary shopping, and things bought to impress people who do not matter to you, you lose the war. But if you send your soldiers into important battles, they return from war with reinforcements. You invest in a skill that increases your income. You acquire an asset that sends money into your account while you sleep. That is where the real difference is. Broke people send their soldiers away and watch them never return. The wealthy send their soldiers out to multiply, conquer, and bring more back. This is how you take control from today onward. First, track every dollar leaving your pocket for 1 month. Do this not to feel regret, but to see the truth clearly. Then stop fighting meaningless battles. Most people can find money that is leaving their pocket without them realizing it. Third, pay yourself first. Before spending your money anywhere else, set aside at least 10% to 20% of your income for your future. Treat your future like a bill you are required to pay. When you start doing this, your money stops slipping through your hands and begins working for you. You no longer just protect your territory, you expand it. But managing money is only one part of the game. The next rule shows how courageously you can use that money. This is the fourth rule. Once you have control over your money, you face a question that silently determines your entire financial destiny. How ready are you to take a bold step? This is the fourth rule. The line between those who stay safe and broke and those who truly grow is drawn here. You must learn to manage risk like a prince. Machiavelli spoke of fortune favoring the bold. In other words, those who dare to act even when the outcome is uncertain create opportunity. The wealthy know this deeply. They know that avoiding risk completely may protect you, but it will also keep you poor. Look at how most people live their lives. They are afraid to lose, afraid to fail, afraid to look foolish. So they always move toward the safest option. They put their money in a savings account that barely grows and watch inflation quietly destroy it. They keep working in a job that pays just enough to survive. They are afraid to invest, to try something new, to act boldly for themselves. Years pass. While other people's lives change, they only watch from the same place. They see others move forward while they remain still. Fear makes you feel protected, but fear makes you smaller. The wealthy look at risk differently. For them, risk is not a danger to run away from. It is a process to manage. They do not take risks blindly. They study the environment. They gather information. They ask questions. They understand what they could lose before taking a step. Then, when the conditions turn in their favor, they act decisively while everyone else waits. To understand why this matters, think with simple numbers. Imagine investing only $200 a month. If that investment has no return, it becomes $72,000 in 30 years. But if it earns an average return of 8% per year, that same monthly $200 contribution can grow to around $300,000. Same effort, same money, a completely different future. That is the power of taking calculated risk instead of hiding behind fear. Managing risk does not mean every step will end in success. Losses are part of the game. Every wealthy person you admire has failed at some point. The difference is this: they do not see failure as a death sentence. They see it as a lesson. They learn, adjust, and keep moving. Start with small moves. Take risks small enough that the loss will not shake you. Move toward areas where the possible gain is much greater than the possible loss. Develop yourself before taking action. Then step forward with confidence. Because wealth is not built by waiting for the perfect opportunity. It is built through prepared and courageous steps in an imperfect world. But there is one risk that silently enslaves more people than even a bad investment. Learning to manage it is our fifth rule. The fifth rule either leads you to freedom or silently destroys you. The difference is hidden in one word: debt. Listen carefully. You must learn to use debt not as a chain that suffocates you, but as a weapon. Machiavelli wrote that a ruler should not become too dependent on others, because dependency is weakness, and weakness creates danger. In the world of money, few things make a person dependent as quickly as debt. If you have more debt than you can manage, you are no longer fully free. Your time, your choices, and your mental peace, your life, fall into the hands of banks and lenders. You are no longer building your future. You are paying for your past. This is the trap most people do not notice until they fall. They borrow to consume. They use credit to buy things that lose value the moment they own them. Think of a new car. The moment you drive it out of the dealership, it can lose a significant amount of value. You borrowed money, you are paying interest, and the thing you bought loses value every day. The same applies to vacations bought on credit, tech devices, and branded clothes. They give you a temporary feeling of pride. Then they begin draining your money slowly for years. For the wealthy, the way debt is used is the exact opposite. They do not see debt as a trap. In their eyes, debt is a tool. They borrow to buy things that generate income. They use credit to start a business, create profit, or buy real estate that produces rent every month and rises in value over time. They send every borrowed dollar out to bring back more. That is the secret. So before taking on debt, ask yourself this question. Will this debt make me poorer, or will it move me toward wealth? For a debt to be a weapon, it must bring money into your pocket over time. If it only takes money out of your pocket, then no matter how cool it makes you look today, it is a chain. If you are already buried in debt, stay calm. First, face it honestly. Write all your debts, interest rates, and monthly payments in a notebook. Attack the most expensive, highest interest debt first, because that is the one that bleeds you the fastest. Then make yourself a promise. From now on, you will only take debt that invests in your future, not debt that beautifies your today. When you master this rule, debt stops being a force that controls you. It becomes a tool you can use. But when your money begins to gain direction and discipline, another subject becomes important: how the world sees you. Because perception alone is power. The sixth rule is exactly about this. The sixth rule explains one of Machiavelli's strongest ideas. According to him, a leader must appear strong even in moments of weakness, because people move towards strength and silently abandon those who look afraid. The same rule applies to money. How you present yourself determines how people approach you. That approach then determines which opportunities appear in front of you. There's something people do not realize. Money habits reveal hidden insecurities. People look desperate when negotiating. When an unexpected bill appears, they live their panic in front of everyone. They back down at every opportunity because they have handed control to fear. And the world watches this. Employers, clients, investors, and even close friends quietly move away from someone who appears financially vulnerable. Weakness does not only cost you respect. Doors close before they even open. The wealthy instinctively understand how this works. They may not always have massive wealth in their hands, but from the outside, they present themselves as calm and controlled. They talk about money with balance, not panic. Because they appear strong from the outside, opportunities move toward them. People want to move forward with them, partner with them, and trust them with bigger responsibilities. This is not luck. It is the simple power of perception. Imagine two people presenting the same idea. The calm one gets a yes. The nervous one is often ignored. Because people do not react to reality. They react to the image they see. If you present yourself as broke, you will be treated as broke. If you present yourself as desperate, someone will take advantage of that weakness. But if you create an impression of calmness, discipline, and control, people automatically begin to respect you and your decisions. Let me be very clear here. Looking powerful does not mean throwing money around. You do not have to present yourself as rich. That is not power. That is weakness. Trying to look powerful with luxury suits is not something Machiavelli would have approved of. Real power is not showing off your money. It is being able to control it. Here's how to apply this. First, keep your financial life private. Not everyone needs to hear that you are struggling, saving, or quietly rebuilding yourself. What they need to see is your discipline and composure. Second, stop reacting with panic. When you are under pressure, answer slowly and calmly, because calmness gives the feeling that control is in your hands. Third, stand tall in every environment you enter. Speak clearly about money and opportunities. Make your decisions with confidence, without begging, and without apologizing. Even if you start with very little, show the world that you are fully in command of what you have. Over time, if something powerful happens, the strength you display begins to turn into the strength you actually possess. Opportunities form. People invest their trust in you. Your reality begins to resemble your posture. But there is one truth that must not be forgotten. No one rises alone. And to break that limit, you need the seventh rule. The seventh rule is the rule lone wolves ignore and pay heavily for. Machiavelli explained that even the strongest ruler cannot stand alone. No matter how intelligent a leader is, no leader can face every enemy and every crisis alone. He needs allies. The same is true for you. Real wealth is almost never built alone. It is built through people. But the mistake that keeps people broke is this: they try to do everything alone. They are too proud to ask for help, or too afraid to trust. So they carry every problem and every decision by themselves. They believe that receiving help from others is weakness. This belief imprisons them. Because one person has limited hours in a day, one mind can only see so far. When you are alone, your access is limited. When you are alone, the places you can reach are limited. Even your strongest ideas may never leave your head. The wealthy think the opposite way. They know money does not come only from working harder. The point is to multiply your own power through other people. That is why they gather strong players around them who fill the gaps they cannot fill alone. A mentor shows you a shortcut to a path that would take years to learn. The right partner can bring money, skill, or doors that would stay closed for years. A strong circle lifts you when you fall, gives you ideas, and creates accountability. By using the time, knowledge, and resources people around them provide in the right way, they can achieve in a few years what would take them many long years to accomplish alone. This is why you have heard people say, your network is your net worth. And it is true. The great fortunes of history rose on strong relationships. Behind great empires, there were always partners, mentors, and powerful connections working together. None of the billionaires you admire did it completely alone. It does not matter how the story looks from the outside. They understood that collaboration does not reduce power. It multiplies it. To apply this rule, look more carefully at the people around you. Find mentors who have already reached where you want to go, and learn from their mistakes and experiences. Second, build real partnerships. Create relationships with people who complete your weak points and offer them value in return, because the strongest alliances are two-sided. Third, choose your circle carefully. Spend time with people who force you to grow, not with people who quietly pull you down. You are very likely to become the financial average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Building alliances does not mean becoming dependent on others. It means replacing loneliness with leverage. It means winning together instead of losing alone. But once you start building relationships, a new risk appears. Some people will respect you. Others will try to use you. That is why the 8th rule is about setting boundaries around how the world treats you and your money. In the 8th rule, you stop being an easy target. Machiavelli asked one of the most famous questions in history: is it better to be loved or feared? His answer was very clear. If both are not possible at the same time, it is safer to be feared. This sounds harsh, but when it comes to money, the point is not to make people afraid of you. The point is to make them respect you, and to not let anyone see you or your money as something that can be easily used. The painful truth is this: people constantly watch how you manage money, and they adjust their behavior toward you according to what they see. If you appear careless, impulsive, or desperate, they move closer. The deals they bring you are low quality. They pressure you to make quick decisions. They think they can steer you toward anything they want. Weak money habits do not only melt the money in your pocket, they are actually an invitation to people who want to use you. But when they see that you are disciplined, calm, and hard to manipulate, the game changes. They stop seeing you as an easy target. The offers they make you shift from bad to better. They make higher quality offers, because they understand that your time and money are valuable and will not be wasted. This is what being feared means in Machiavelli's sense. Not intimidation, but respect for your solid posture. The starting point of respect is often being able to clearly say one word: no. Think about it. When you say no to a $400 dinner you cannot afford or cannot justify, the people around you may mock you at first. They provoke you. They pressure you. They say, live a little. But over time, they see that they cannot move you by applying pressure. They begin to respect your discipline. When you say no to a suspicious investment or a deal that does not make sense to you, others learn that they cannot easily fool you. Every no spoken to protect your future builds a wall that bad opportunities cannot pass through. Here is where most people get it wrong. Being kind and generous is good, but in the money game, kindness alone does not protect you. People may admire you for being a good person, but the moment they catch you in weakness, they may try to use you. What turns your kindness from an open door into power is respect. To gain that respect, first define clear boundaries around money and do not apologize for them. Your budget and your limits are not open for discussion. Second, learn to say no without guilt, even to the people you love. A calm and clear no is one of the strongest financial tools in your hands. Third, act consciously when making decisions. Do not allow urgency, guilt, or pressure to push you into spending. Let the world realize that it cannot forcefully direct you. When you live this way, respect surrounds everything you build like a shield. Better partners, better deals, and better opportunities come to you, because people understand that you do not take your money lightly. But all the rules we have talked about so far were leading to one final battlefield: inside your own mind. That is exactly what the 9th rule is about. And now we come to the 9th rule. This is the rule I said at the beginning would change everything. Because everything you have heard until now, controlling your money, managing risk, using debt, commanding respect, all of it eventually connects to one place: your mind. If you master your mind, you master the game. At the center of everything Machiavelli taught was a deep understanding of human psychology. He understood people's fears, desires, and how they make decisions under pressure. He knew that real power was not only about armies or gold. Real power was understanding the mind. The same applies to wealth. If you want to be the winning side in this game, you must first win the war inside your own head. Let me show you the two minds that determine everything. The first is the broke mind. When the broke mind sees an opportunity, it immediately says, I cannot afford this. When a problem appears, it feels helpless. It believes the only way forward is to work harder, sell more hours for money, and hope that someday things will get better. The broke mind is reactive. It chases income. It reacts to bills. It is quietly controlled by fear. Because its focus is only on earning, it must be physically present for anything it builds to earn. Otherwise, it cannot build anything. Then there is the wealthy mind. When it faces the same opportunity, it does not say, I cannot afford this. It asks a much more powerful question: how can I afford this? That one shift turns a closed door into a puzzle to be solved. The wealthy mind does not wait for luck to happen. It looks for a path. Instead of simply working harder, it works smarter. It uses leverage, systems, and assets. It creates things that keep producing, even after the work is done. Instead of constantly chasing money, it builds structures that produce money without it being present. Let's make this concrete. Imagine two people earning the same salary. The first spends everything, blames the world, and waits, while saying, one day. The second controls every dollar, invests with courage, and quietly builds. When 10 years pass, they are no longer in the same place. One remains stuck in the same place, still blaming the system. The other begins to become free on top of the system he built. Same income, same 10 years, two completely different lives. The real difference was never the salary. It was the mind behind the money. Here is the truth no one told you. Your bank account is a mirror of your mindset. If you think small, you stay small. If you live through fear, fear will make your decisions. But if you can learn to see opportunity where others see obstacles, and stay calm when others panic, you slowly begin to rise out of the crowd. Your final move is this: protect your mind as the most valuable asset you own. Because it truly is. Feed it with knowledge. Question the beliefs that keep you stuck where you are. And with every money decision you make, stop asking, "Can I do this?" Ask, "How can I do this?" When you repeat this question for years, it can completely change your life. If you learn to control your money, you change your bank account. If you learn to manage your mind, you change your destiny. The most important rule was this from the beginning. Now let's connect all of this back to where we started. Money is a game. If you have not been able to win until now, it was not because you were not smart enough or because you did not work hard enough. You simply did not know the rules of the game. But that is over now. Because now you have learned the rules. Control the flow of money like a ruler protecting his borders. Take risks with courage, but not blindly. Use debt not as a chain that binds you to slavery, but as a weapon for your future. Stand strong, build strong relationships, and demand respect for every dollar you own. And above all, become the ruler of your own mind, because that is where the winner of this game is decided. The broke will continue blaming everyone but themselves. But you are no longer part of that crowd. You have seen behind the curtain. When you bring these rules into your life, you stop being a pawn in someone else's game. You begin to create your own game. You buy the only thing money is truly supposed to give you. Freedom. The freedom to live on your own terms. The freedom to choose without fear. The freedom to build something that continues to exist after you. Remember, these rules were not written as a promise of getting rich overnight. They are compasses that show you the hidden sides of the game. Every month, when you spend a little more consciously, when you face each risk more prepared, when you say no, and when you try to gain each new skill, you change quietly. From the outside, everything may look the same job, the same home, the same circle. But inside, there is now someone different. Someone who acts instead of reacts. Someone who plans instead of waiting in fear. And wealth begins exactly there, before anyone notices. Because the first thing that changes is not the money. It is the mind behind it. Before you go, I want to ask you one small thing. If even one of these rules change the way you look at money, press like. Because that truly helps these ideas reach people who are still pawns in someone else's game. Subscribe so you do not miss the next lesson that could change your life. And write in the comments which rule affected you the most. I read every one of them. The game is yours to play, but only if you learn the rules and start taking action today. See you in the next video.